Hi, I'm Trantor. Just when we thought the balancer wars were cooling off, they come roaring back with a vengeance. Today we're going to cover Aura Finance, which is the convex layer for Balancer DAO, and the ongoing balancer wars. This video is all about crypto, but it's certainly not financial advice. It's for information and entertainment purposes only. So firstly, let's talk about what's been going on with Aura. Well, what we know is increasing partnerships. So at the moment, we know as a result of OIP 11, that's Olympus Improvement Proposal number 11, that OIM is planning to move a significant percentage of their liquidity across to Balancer. This is happening now as we speak, and you'll note up to $170 million worth of TVL currently locked in vicinity of Balancer. As part of that, the OIM DAI ETH sort of triple pool, you might say, is being also moved across to Aura, and it's currently been incentivized with $3 million, which is the start state. Future proposals will essentially be built out from this, from what we understand, from what OIM's all about. So this includes another very big player, very much a treasury player, looking to bring across their own treasury control liquidity to Aura. Similar things can be seen with Redacted Cartel. As a result of RIP, so that's Redacted Improvement Proposal number 24, I think it was, you'll note in that they also had land on a vote to essentially lock all Aura that they received for a 6-month period. So in other words, for a trial run of 6 months, all Aura that is received through either their hidden hand, bribing and incentive network, or through other means will be locked, so that Aura is able to basically be part of, or I should say Redacted will use Aura as part of their ongoing flywheel and to provide further incentives back to their own token holders. You'll note Redacted has recently moved to a new tokenomic model, RL now. These basically revenue locked butterfly tokens, and you can check them out on their own website. Temple DAO. Temple DAO has also recently moved over $5 million of their own protocol-owned liquidity, with incentives now being provided on VBAL and on Aura. So here's another large DAO bringing across their liquidity and their protocol-owned liquidity directly to Balancer and Aura. The last one to talk to you today is on Jones DAO, and this is basically just some initial alpha. Now, I'm not a part of any of necessarily these DAOs, but what I would like to highlight is here's this Gilgamesh versus Shorts guy or whatever, and he's replying back to Small Cap Science here, really talking about some of the benefits of what's going on with Aura. So in this instance, Jones DAO, another DAO to look out for in the near future. They're on Arbitrum, and we'll see how they may seek to be involved in what's going on with Aura Finance and Balancer in the near future as well. Some interesting things going on at the moment. This is where a lot of the value, I suppose, will continue to drive into Aura. At the moment, Aura still has the ammunition to provide additional incentives to any Balancer pool token. So at the moment, if you're part of the Aura, or I should say the Aave boosted pool, which is essentially a stable pool, which includes Tether USD, you've got DAI, and then you've got USDC, this tri pool here. If you deposit those only on Balancer, you'll be receiving an APR of approximately 2.5%. If you bring that across to Aura, that's where your percentages go up to 8%, and that can be further increased with additional incentives or bribes through the hidden hand market. The last bit of news to talk to you today for Aura specifically and new partnerships is on Vesta. Vesta are also looking to boost the liquidity of their pools and their related pools on Balancer through voting incentives to both Aura and to Balancer in the near future, and they've allocated 500,000 Vesta tokens to that end. The big news, however, is what's going on with the Balancer Wars. Balancer Wars themselves are heating up across a number of different protocols as battle lines are being drawn. And the reason is primarily because of BIP, and that is Balancer Improvement Proposal number 57A and 57B. What these BIPs are seeking to do is basically introduce, as it says here in the title, a gauge framework, and this is the first version of this. This gauge framework seeks to pose limits, which are, again can be governed by Balancer guidelines or alternatively by voting, but essentially seeks to provide limits on how much of a specific pool can receive in terms of Balancer emissions. Now, there's a number of different criteria within the snapshot, but essentially large pools that used to be sort of like 80% of a governance token and then 20% of, say, ETH or maybe Bitcoin or maybe some other type of token, which previously had quite a small TVL total, or a small market cap, I should say, of a specific coin, could no longer be receiving a very large percentages of the Balancer emissions. What this gauge framework is seeking to do is provide for long-term health of the actual Balancer ecosystem and prevent sort of black holing by specific entities. Why this is relevant, of course, is because of a very large whale or a whale collective who have been voting in particular on black holing on a certain number of governance tokens. Now, absolutely no negative comment is being made about any of the actual tokens that are being selected. But what's essentially happened is you've seen an overvote, and I'll show you this in a little while, an overvote on specific pools that's essentially a much smaller market TVL. What this has done is essentially not provide ongoing value to Balancer, and has not provided incentives in a manner that the Balancer deems healthy. And so that's why this vote is currently going on. Now, the battle lines are drawn, however, as you see groups of DAOs and, most importantly, I should say most pressingly, this whale or this whales collective, as they seek to buy up additional Balancer tokens, lock those into VBAL so that they can challenge this particular vote. And so what the vote has really led to is a number of key outcomes. The first, as you can see on the right here, is the ongoing fight between essentially Balancer, and this is a number of the key OGs, and what's going on with this whale. The whale goes by a number of different names. But what I would say is that Balancer at the moment, this has been some of the big news, Balancer has been seeking to rally additional support in VBAL, and by doing that has a number of the early investors have essentially locked their tokens instead of holding them liquid. They have locked their tokens into VBAL and essentially delegated across to Balancer to try to provide for the long-term health of Balancer itself. The whale, for their part, has also sought to buy off the market additional Balancer tokens, which has created, not surprisingly, significant demand for Balancer coins as they seek to lock to prevent this particular governance governance framework from being implemented. If you look on the top left of the screen, you can see the Balancer versus Bitcoin evaluation. And what I'm really highlighting here is that the Balancer coin has been going up against Bitcoin over the last sort of 2 weeks at quite a significant level, quite a significant pace, and has actually been in the green over the last few weeks as well compared to its USD value, despite the generally market downturn. From an Aura perspective, what this has done is where you may have seen in previous videos, we're up over 30% in terms of total VBAL share, with the additional Balancer coins being bought by this whale and immediately locked, and essentially the locking of a number of investor tokens of VAL that had been held previously off the market, you're now seeing significant dilution of the overall Aura amount of percentage of VBAL tokens held. So very interesting stuff going on here. There's also a decrease in the TVL from over 300 million down to about 283 at the time of recording. Why this has happened, of course, every individual does their own thing, but there are elements, of course, of individuals and groups taking out an element of their LP in order to get simply more Balancer so that they can actually lock those and participate in this governance war. Or alternatively, taking out their positions to essentially lock more Aura so they can be involved in some of the Aura voting that's later occurring. Now, of course, individuals lock and unlock for their own reasons, so of course I'm not providing any comment there. That's just my take on what I think is going on. And it's here we see a number of different areas that I suppose VBAL is most interested in. So VBAL, this Vote Escrowed Balancer token, this continues to be the curve-like layer of Balancer. And at the moment, this top DAO focus pool is receiving 29.53% of all Balancer emissions. The wrapped state ETH to wrapped ETH pool is receiving 16.23, and then importantly, this stablecoin pool here is receiving 9%. What's most interesting, of course, is after this particular governance token battle has, I suppose, come out, or we could say this first step in the Balancer wars, what's going to happen with all this additional VBAL that's now on the market that can no longer vote for some of the smaller DAOs? What I think will likely happen, this is just my guess, is that things that are long-term health of the Balancer ecosystem, not just Balancer, but the Balancer ecosystem itself will be incentivized. So you can likely see additional voting occur towards this. So this is the stablecoin pool. You can expect this to go up in the next little while. Potentially the same now for the wrapped staked ETH and ETH pool. You may see some more into the specific Aura pools or some of the other smaller pools. And I think what you'll see is these will sort of top out, these DAO focus pools, at either the 2 or 5% of total emissions, as that's about where they're going to be capped. But what you won't see, I don't think, is this pool here. So this is the 80 Balancer 20 ETH on one side. So this is the unlocked version of a VBAL. So it's not Vote Escrowed, but it's the same token or the same LP. And AuraBAL, which is Aura's locked version, that liquidity pool there. I think this one, currently receiving 8.7%, is likely to receive significantly more emissions in the coming weeks. And the reason for that is that I would imagine that a number of Balancer, in particular OGs, and a lot of people who've locked into that, do not want to see centralization of Balancer tokens. The best way to do that is to incentivize people to get more of this AuraBAL, so to lock it with Aura, and therefore to drive more value back into Aura itself. Now, that is all pure madness and speculation, to quote a few other different YouTubers out there. And, there's nothing wrong with a bit of speculation going forward. I just want to highlight this is certainly not coming from anybody official. It's just purely my opinion, but I think it'll be something very much to watch out for in the next little while, is how Aura Bow pools perform in the coming months with all this additional VBAL on the market. Anyway, if you like the video or you want to see more of Aura, a little bit more on the balancer protocol, or you want some more deep dives or anything, please let me know. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.